Welcome back from that Investment Plus segment. Now we are taking the conversation to today being the 17th of October, International Poverty Eradication Day, which has at its theme, decent work and social protection, putting dignity in practice for all. And in the studio with me right now to discuss all of this, especially how Nigeria can eradicate poverty, if that's even possible, is our guest, a very wonderful regular guest who has very controversial opinions, especially on social issues. Dr. Ben Owudinjo, a public policy analyst. I thank you for coming to the studio.
Thank you very much.
And to balance it, there's another woman in the studio, Dr. Patricia Hawa Jerome Taiwo. She's an associate professor, department faculty of the social sciences of the University of Ibadan. I hope I got that right.
Department of Sociology.
The Department of Sociology. Thank you for being part of the program as well.
Thank you.
You know, when the world tells us we have to eradicate poverty, they think towards Africa. I can bet my bottom dollar on that one because of the pictures you see when we put Africa out there. But Dr. Owudinjo, I think I would just start with you. Eradicating poverty in Nigeria, for instance, where would we start with that? Because it's a huge conversation, and we have attendant effects from the removal of fuel subsidy recently, which has plunged further people further into poverty. So if we have to start this conversation, where would you think we should beam our torch?
Thank you very much. May God bless you, and may God bless all our listeners and all our viewers. You cannot eradicate poverty in Nigeria, except two things. One, you remove malaria completely, and cause climate change. All countries that are poor find their location. They are under the equator. The heat that comes from the sun that beats them. Their senses are not complete. They're not. Look at the other countries that are developed and our own country. You find out that our location alone makes us to be poor. And then malaria. Anybody who is bitten by malaria by mosquitoes regularly cannot be rich because of. But it is true.
I want to understand the correlation. If you're bitten by malaria, you cannot
by mosquitoes.
By mosquitoes, rather, you cannot be rich.
You cannot be preponderantly rich.
Okay.
Check other countries that are developed. Check Africa. Malaria, yes. Check it.
Okay, I think at this point, I'll come back to you. You always have very interesting perspectives to subject matters. But let me come to you, Dr. Patricia. Is a mosquito the reason for not having this how did you put it now? Preponderant rich race that we ought to have compared to other countries that are not in the tropics?
Well, if he has his statistics to back it up, I might agree, but it's simple and clear. When somebody is not feeling well, the person can certainly not produce. And if the person cannot produce or perform, there is no way the person will actually be rich. So looking at it from the layman perspective, when you are down with malaria, or you are, which is one of the major ailment or disease that is, plunging Nigeria and plaguing this country, there is no way you can actually think of wealth when you are sick. Malaria even kills, and if it reduces the population, then it reduces the wealth of the nation. So from a layman perspective, once you have malaria and you are sick, there is no way you can be rich. I'm looking at it sociologically now.
Okay.
So he might have his own.
Okay, I think we come back to you as to the statistics you have that backs up this stance you have about our poverty level.
Let us deconstruct it. Look at Nigeria. Look at America. Look at the poverty index rate. In Nigeria, we have 1.3 million Nigerians below poverty line. Out of 200 million Nigerians, we have 133 million Nigerians below poverty line. Not poor, below poverty line. What is the reason? Malaria, mosquitoes. I'm telling you the truth of the matter. I deconstruct from the deep structure. Many things people say are different from what they mean. So how can we explain the way we reason? How can we explain our business indices? How can we explain our approaches? Even government itself is poor. The citizens are poor too. Why? Because of malaria. Because you are really sick. I'm really sick myself.
It has something to do with it has something to do with our DNA that gets to our psyche and
exactly.
Reason.
Exactly.
And you can prove this how?
I can prove it.
Clinically?
I can prove it because of time. I can another question. If the topic is to prove it, I can prove it. I've done doctoral studies. I've done research. I did research. I'm not just talking for talking sake. Just from a layman, like doctor said here, from a layman perspective, look at it. Just look at the statistics. All the countries that are poor are suffering from malaria. All the countries that are poor, look at their location on the planet. They are located directly under the sun. So how can they be rich when they are struggling how to even breathe? Remember there was time when malaria was the highest killer of people in Africa.
Yes.
Now they developed drugs. Most of those drugs are even fake. Now you are thinking of how to get money to buy malaria drug, and then the constant malaria mosquito bitings will keep you down. You can't even reason properly. Those who reason properly are little to compare to those who are not reasoning. Therefore, we have a preponderance percentage of people who are poor.
Right. Now let's go to Dr. Patricia. The theme for this year's celebration of the World Poverty Eradication Day is decent work and social protection. Do you think, in spite of the malaria that we have to contend with, if we have decent work and social protection, if that is in place, we will not have these preponderous riches that a doctor keeps saying would elude us in spite of everything?
Well, actually, I like us not to use the word eradication of poverty, particularly in the Nigerian context. We can use the word poverty reduction, but poverty eradication, I think, is a tall order for Nigeria and
still
many
because
African.
Of the malaria?
Not necessarily because of malaria, from my own point of view. I think if we want to talk about poverty reduction, let me use that word. I would just say there are 3 ways to just doing this in Nigeria. Number 1, love Nigeria. Now, when I say love Nigeria, if you look at the developed country, using American for instance, the American citizens are number 1 priority. Every other person is secondary. And if you look at the way things occur even in this country, I realize that one of the things we lack is love for ourselves as Nigerian citizens. That is the reason why we will not bother about the welfare, the well-being, and the richness of another person. Many people are vying into doing what they are not caught up to do in terms of jobs that would have given the other person who has the skill to do it. They are debarring them that opportunity because they don't love Nigeria. Another thing we have to also look at is, let us overcome the fear of poverty. Now, why is it that there is no contentment? Why is it that people will get rich to a level where you can have 100 cars, you can have 1,000 houses, you can have a lot of things, and you are still not getting to a point where you are saying, I think I'm okay, let me think about how to help my next neighbor. Even in trying to help our neighbors, what is always the motivating factor? Self. You are talking about programs, you are talking about how you want to do other programs to assist others. Is that humanitarian approach the motivation? Or you have something in it, or something selfish that you think you want to do to acquire more wealth for yourself? So at the end of the day, I look at it that we are afraid of being poor. So that's the reason why you see that somebody will acquire and put money inside the sewage tank and it is wasted. That is the reason why you see somebody steal so much. And I ask myself, for what generations? What about the ones that are alive? Then the last point is avoid wastage. Now, everywhere, one of the major challenges we have is we waste. What is wastage? For me, avoidance of wastage has to do with you ensuring that that extra excess, no matter how small it is put to appropriate use. And you look at many countries who are even striving from being developed to develop now, like Switzerland, Denmark, and Germany. They are now at the level of minimizing waste as much as possible. So when you avoid wastage, you are able to make available to as many citizens out there who